we now have part 2 to one of the biggest Pokemon leaks of all time. This is a Pokemon game that has been completely leaked, and it is pretty much the entirety of what this game was originally gonna be. And all the leaks from this game could impact the next Pokemon Legends game potentially, because it may be Legends Galar. And of course, we did part 1 a couple of days ago. So now we're picking up right where we left off because, man, there is a lot of information. So for the time being, this should be the last and the final part of this specific topic, unless we get more stuff that does drop eventually, because I mean, that's always possible. And before we hop into it, stay to the very end to hear about the giveaway that my bro Jazard and I are doing for 2 $20 eShop cards. It's completely free to enter as well. Let's hop right into it now. So this is exactly where we left off with the Orion project. So it went from Project Rex to Orion, and Orion does not throw away the giant idea, but it makes it easier to use in a normal Pokemon game. The December 2016 settings introduce meteorite fragments, evolution energy, and ultimate battlefields, where I guess gyms or other, I guess you could say, important battles would take place, where the giant Pokemon can actually happen or form or something like that. The design notes explicitly connect this decision to the problems of Mega Evolution. The retrospective identifies 4 issues. Solo play could become use Mega Evolution and attack. 2 being only selected Pokemon benefited. 3 being the mechanic was not common enough among trainers or integrated enough into the world, or the held item requirement created a burden. So it almost seems like they're taking a look back at Mega Evolution and how they could kind of fix this new giant Pokemon evolution gimmick from some of the flaws or the issues with Mega Evolution back in the day, if that makes sense. Now that we have had a pretty good handful of, evolution battle gimmicks, what do you think the best one is so far? Terrestrialization, Z-moves, and everything? The answer is already close to Dynamax. Keep the phenomenon in specific locations, make it available to a wider range of Pokemon, and save it for the biggest battles, and avoid taking up a held item slot. The original group-based mechanic is gradually being replaced by a single controlled transformation that is easier to explain to the player. Overall, they were just trying to streamline it and just make it easier and less complicated, I guess. And the Dyne region. So of course, Dyne, Dynamax, I'm not sure if that's exactly like why it's called the Dyne region. Maybe the word Dynamax came after they were planning on this region being called Dyne instead of Galar. Dyne is pretty cool though. I mean, that's a pretty cool name for a region. But I do like Galar though. I think that name is also pretty fitting. The December settings called the region Dyne, a unit of force that fits the strongest theme. It is modeled on England, but the map is deliberately reversed or inverted, so the countryside leads towards the city and London becomes the destination. The setting combines cold, high-latitude weather, slow rivers, mirror-like lakes, fog and moss, rapidly changing weather and rain, Celtic, Jomon, and Ainu ideas about animals as spirits, Jomon being the earliest recognized era of Japanese history characterized by semi-sedentary hunter-fisher-gatherer societies, then Ainu being indigenous ethnic group native to northern Japan, being in reference to, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Isle of Man, and everything like that. Halloween, All Souls, Oban, and New Year as ways to think about old and new time, coal factories and industrial revolution, environment and labor improvements that make modern life more comfortable than the past. This is not meant to be a historical simulation of England. It is an idealized Pokemon version of the industrial society, factories, and science exists, but the world is also trying to be environmentally responsible and treat the Pokemon as active partners. I absolutely love seeing this stuff. Like, their thoughts and ideas behind planning this region, where they're gathering inspiration from, and of course they have to put the Pokemon spin on it, so making it make sense in a Pokemon world. And I believe this is some concept art, which really does look pretty close to what we did get. Here's some more concept art as well. You can definitely see like the grass field lands, and I love that so much. Just looks so relaxing to me, man. League sports and the cool adults. Orion turns the Pokemon League into a public entertainment industry. Gyms are state-run institutions, part stadium, part preservation of an old duel or religious tradition. Battles are televised, local supporters follow their teams, the champion is treated like sports superstar, and the league money supports Pokemon centers and welfare. And you could see this picture right here, and this is sick because we did get this in the game. Like, this is kind of how it was. And now my memory is a little bit foggy on Sword and Shield. Like, it definitely has been quite sometimes since I've played these games, but I actually would have really liked if they kind of went even deeper with that, like the league side of things. But now we do have Pokemon Champions, which I would say kind of goes hand in hand with this idea of being a big entertainment kind of thing. This artwork is so sick. I love that so much, especially just seeing the size of the Pokemon in the stadium. Like, that's crazy. Talking about how jobs are also another important of Orion's social world, that Pokemon work with people in rescue, delivery, transport, and some other things, like fashion, food, train a license, and act ball make training look like a social responsibility responsibility. Not only a hobby based on battling, a smaller version of this idea survives in the final game through Poke Jobs, but Orion presents the idea as a much broader part of everyday life. Some more artwork here is some different outfits and colors and everything. Now we have the Orion story. So this is a lot of words right here that I'm about to say, so stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned, because it's very interesting. Compared with Rex, Orion's story is already much closer to the final narrative. The broad structure is recognizable. A comet falls 20,000 years earlier, its fragments spread energy throughout the region, the calamity returns, king and queen are linked to ordered transformation and wishes, and the champion's younger brother is caught inside the conflict. The details and names still change, but the main line is no longer just a collection of alternative branches. The Orion story material is much more developed than the Rex branches. The protagonist is about 11 and moved from Sinnoh 1 year earlier. Very interesting that it's the Sinnoh region, because shortly after Generation 8 we did get, Legends Arceus and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, which are two Sinnoh based games, so very interesting to see how they're kind of planting seeds from Sinnoh in a way. The rival is a local boy who dreams of the city and looks up to his older brother, the champion. The champion is around 20, has defeated the title for 4 years, and acts as a father figure. So this champion would have been 16 when he basically became champion. So if I'm not mistaken, the Winds and Waves champion, there's some leaks and rumors about that. The champion might also be very young in that game as well. I can't remember exactly the age, but I definitely want to say it was very young. Like I said, I might be wrong in that, because we have just so many different Winds and Waves leaks and rumors out there that I low-key do be mixing things up sometimes. The professor studies history and mythology. Her assistant is a former rival of the champion who lost the league 4 years earlier. The chairman is charismatic in public, but secretly wants to revive the giant myth and rule through strength. One Elite Four member, you. Funny that it's just another one-letter name, kind of like N from Pokemon Gen 5. A 14-year-old psychic ninja whose own will has been taken away. A young female gym leader leads the enemy group, blocks routes, and steals Pokemon to help her town, then eventually reforms. Her police father is used as a red herring. The real danger is inside the league. Joker is now a cosmic Pokemon that came down from the comet 20,000 years earlier. Its fragments spread energy throughout the towns and the gyms. King and Queen become heroic package Pokemon associated with order, transformation, and wishes. Normally only one pair exists in an era, and their return signals a new calamity. The plot begins with a televised champion battle, a family barbecue, and the protagonist's departure. It then moves through gym challenges, the G phenomenon, and the global field before reaching London. At the league headquarters, the chairman reveals his plan. The calamity begins. The protagonist revives or captures a package legendary, and the champion tries to control the Joker with a device. The protagonist and the rivals stop the crisis. While the G-Ring stones scatter across dimensions, the proposed ending jumps forward 1 month and focuses on rebuilding new champions and the player's choices about the future jobs and responsibilities. That was a lot. Definitely sounds very cool. I still do feel like this could have some inspiration to a Legends Galar game. I swear it just all kind of makes sense if they really just take bits and pieces of this and kind of just pull little strings from it and pick out different things and use those different things as inspiration to kind of make a spin-off story based on this, if that makes sense. Now some stuff talking about when it was going to be released and stuff, saying it's a new Switch title planned for around September 2019 with 2 different versions. The project is still presented under Orion, and it does not specifically say Sword or Shield, or even have a name, I guess. The deck is a proposed document, not a record of features that were all implemented. That distinction matters here. It shows what the team wanted Orion to become at that point, while the final games kept getting some ideas, simplified others, and dropped several completely. And of course, it was the first main series Pokemon game for the Switch as a home and portable system. The central promise is essentially the strongest Pokemon, the strongest trainer, and a game built around cooperation, communication, and expression. This must be some other concept art as well, which is very interesting to see. Was this before the Switch was even released? You know what I mean? So this would be kind of an early look at the Switch internally. Apparently they're also trying to do a smartphone app to kind of have 3 different ways to play this game. So of course, being home, online, portable, and local, and then smartphone, a separate app that is imagined as a way to train Pokemon, collect things, and prepare for the next adventure during spare moments. Smartphone linkage. As a new kind of play experience, we want to offer a play that uses linkage between the Switch and the smartphones, saying that you could capture, raise, and prepare for adventure. Its role as a Pokewalker plus Pokepelago. You obtain a Pokemon. It also functions on its own. You can also receive movie streaming and the like here. And then QR camera scanning goes there as well. I feel like this is still something they could be doing in the future. Maybe not for a Legends Galar game, but I feel like this is something they would try, because Nintendo, dude, they love to try random things. Even though this is pretty gimmicky and probably wouldn't really be a major success, I could see them still trying that out one day. Just some stuff right here talking about the giant Pokemon, which I feel like isn't important for me to read, but if you want to pause, you definitely can. Saying that the co-op version is built around groups of up to 4 players, and the Pokemon nest would contain powerful giant Pokemon that can be challenged together, defeated, and caught. If 4 players threw Pokeballs on it at the same turn, the deck says that the chance of catching the Pokemon would improve, so players who helped in the battle also receive a Pokemon trace, allowing them to find that species later in their own game. And Pokemon trace is something that literally is in Pokopia, where you can find a trace of a Pokemon, learn that habitat, and then hopefully find that Pokemon later on. I'm not sure if that was something directly inspired from this or not, but that's basically identical. More things that I feel like I don't need to necessarily read, but if you do want to pause, it's pretty interesting to look at. Another concept art, which seems like you could kind of emote and stuff with other players, which this could be a feature in Winds and Waves, because Winds and Waves should have a little bit of MMO in it, but as well as that, we're also getting a real Pokemon MMO in a couple of years, so they probably will implement some sort of, I guess, emote system or reaction system within that game, so I feel like they could definitely be kind of bringing this back. The first Pokemon camp concept is similarly ambitious. Players could set up a camp almost anywhere, let their full party of 6 roam freely, and visit another's camp. Camp is described as a hub for a team play. Players could cook and eat together and gain experience for temporary stat boost. Pokemon could communicate through AI. Camping gear could vary by location. Wild Pokemon may visit and be caught, and players could celebrate evolutions or level ups together. Some very cool concept art. I definitely like that idea a lot. I mean, we kind of have similar things like the picnics in Scarlet and Violet. I know it's definitely different, but kind of similar in the sense where you could like set up anywhere and all your Pokemon spawn around you. I like this idea, and I do think this would make sense for a Legends Galar game, because that game should be taking place about 1,000 years in the past based on the Terra League and all the information we have. It would just make sense for them to be able to pop up a campsite anywhere, right? Roto-Ko is described as a subunit of the Rotom Pokédex, shaped like a peripheral device similar to Pokemon Go Plus. Its job would be to travel to different places on its own, search for Pokemon, reveal their locations, and deliver rewards such as TMs. The deck explicitly says that the appearance was provisional and that the device would not have an LCD screen. And Poké-Call is a different encounter system that is meant to turn, see, find, and catch into a chain. The player sees a Pokemon in battle or at a distance, imitates its cry, draws out another Pokemon of the same species, fights and catches it. The examples are Pokemon high in the sky or on a distant cliff. The point was to make the region feel larger and to give players a reason to look beyond the normal path. I like that a lot, because Sword and Shield was definitely another step forward into like the open world Pokemon games, so they had the idea of like making the region feel bigger, and I think this is a pretty cool way to do that. Their ideas, I like their concept behind that. And apparently this is Poké-Call gameplay concept. I mean, bro, it's just all, it looks like it's from the N64, man. Another thing that I feel like I don't need to read, but if you do want to pause about the smartphone stuff, as well as this right here. So from Rex to Orion to Sword and Shield, these 3 names describe different stages of the same development problem, but they should not be treated as a line which every draft feature became the final feature. Rex is the radical early concept. Orion is the attempt to turn that direction into a connected Switch product, and then Sword and Shield are the much more focused version that eventually did release. I'll just kind of like slowly go through this, and you could pause as I'm kind of going down it. But originally the names were Pokemon King and Queen, with King, Queen, Ace, and Joker part of the mythology and everything like that, which Orion did not have a specific name. Then of course it was Sword and Shield. The region originally, I guess, was called Tayla, and then it was called Dyne, and then we got Galar. The evolution gimmick was O-Evolution, and then called the G Phenomenon, and then Dynamax, and of course Gigantamax. Here's how the online play has kind of evolved throughout the 3 stages. Here's how all the exploration and the encounters have also changed over the 3 versions of this game. Pokemon in society basically being strength, responsibility for the future knights, and the 8-bone mythology. And then of course it moved to more of the sporty side of things with sports, jobs, licenses, cool adults, leagues. Still got like the stadium gyms, televised competition, Poke Jobs, Pokemon Camp, and a Rotom phone. The roster and scope being 100 provisional roles and many unnamed, 110 plus alpha new Pokemon, regional forms, and giant Pokemon. Then of course we did get the final roster of Pokemon with some regional forms, species specific Gigantamax forms, and the mythology. You could kind of see how it was basically the same thing from the first 2. And the final version of the game, they definitely kind of came up with their own name and unique ideas, I guess you could say, kind of based on that. The conclusion: Rex is interesting because it starts with a difficult question. How can a Pokemon become stronger without making the whole game about one overpowered individual? The answer is favors co-evolution where the power comes from a group and temporary growth is tied to balance, Orion keeps that interest in strength, cooperation, and enormous Pokemon, but tries to build a whole game around it, a Switch title with gyms as a public sport, 4-player battles, camps, jobs, communication tools, a smartphone link, and several different ways to play. But by the time that the Sword and Shield games that arrive, much of that ambition has been simplified. Dynamax raid battles keep the visual and social core, while the Galar, the League Camp, Pokejobs, and the Rotom Phone make the world easier to understand. That is the most useful ways to read these drafts. They are not a hidden list of features that were secretly cut one by one. They show a project repeatedly narrowing its ideas until the final game can communicate its main fantasy immediately: Pokemon, competition, cooperation, and giant battles in a Britain-inspired world, and some more awesome artwork down here. And I got this information all from PokeOS, so huge shout out to them. Obviously, they're not sponsoring this video, but they're just a fantastic website out there. Before we talk about the giveaway stuff, let me know your final verdict on Sword and Shield in Gen 8. What do you think was the best version of the game? The first, the second, or the third final stage? The second stage of development through this region and this game definitely seems very ambitious, and I liked where they were going. But I want to know your thought about Sword and Shield as a whole, and what you think could be brought into Legends Galar, because the next Legends game could still be Legends Galar. We have rumors that it may be a Kanto Legends game next, but everything is still kind of up in the air, so it's still a couple years away. It could change. Who knows? We could be getting a Hoenn-based region next if Pokemon or Game Freak, really change their ideas, but I guess we'll have to see on that. So, and now to the giveaway. So it's taking place in our Discord, 100% free to join. It's in the description down below. My bro Jayzard are both doing this, where we're gonna each give away a $20 eShop gift card to 2 different winners, so 1 each if that makes sense. We just have it in the Discord so we can easily message the winners and just keep track of who entered. And we're gonna be wrapping this up very, very soon here. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you guys are watching this far in the video, comment down below your favorite Pokemon from Generation 8. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Someone